Hello! Today we are talking about my Classics TBR for 2021. Yay! So my Classics strategy for the last few years has been that I create a TBR of 12 classics I would like to read, and my goal is to read at least 6 of them over the course of the year. And this has been, I think, a really achievable and well-suited goal for me, which is why it's a little risky that I'm changing it up this year. But I do have a slight variation I'm gonna do for 2021 because how to say this? I have definitely still some classics, which you will see on this TBR, that I want to get through because I've always wanted to read them. But I also have this awareness that a lot of the classics that I've always wanted to read are coming from a very specific point of view. I tend to be very much a reader of British classics, like that tends to be my bread and butter, with like a soupçon of French and Russian thrown in the mix. I don't love American classics often, so I have read most of the ones of those that I care to read, but I really would like to expand a little bit more. I've read some of the Russians. There are more of the Russians I would like to read. I would like to read a little bit more, Italian or German classics. And then I really would like to dip my toes more into South American classics, so books that are being translated from Spanish. And the reason that I've not had great success with them, well, maybe that's a different video. We can talk about that a different day, but I would like to dip my toes into, maybe some Asian classics, or just to mix things up a little bit. I think I've been very steeped and kind of in my comfort zone classics-wise in the British, the British literary canon, because that is like what I personally really like. So I'm gonna continue on that vein this year with the hopes of rounding out some of the kind of big ones that I've been still meaning to get to. And the hope is in 2022, I can spend basically 2021 kind of thinking about what I want to read a little bit more broadly classics wise. So with that being said, first let's recap how I did in 2020. And like I said, I met my goal, and this has been a good approach to reading classics the last few years for me. So I set a TBR of 12 that I wanted to try to read at least 6 from, and I successfully read 7 off of that list. So I read Black Reconstruction in America by W.E.B. Du Bois, Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons, Loving by Henry Green, Maurice by E.M. Forster, North and South from Elizabeth Gaskell, Their Eyes Were Watching God from Zora Neale Hurston, and The Warden by Anthony Trollope. In addition to that, I read 6 other classics, so books written before 1950, and 3 what I would describe as modern classics. So all around, I think that was a pretty successful year of reading more classic literature, fiction and nonfiction for me. So 2020 was a good year, and I am gonna test my luck here and switch up my strategy a little bit for 2021. So this year what I'm doing is I am picking a list of 10 classic fiction works from which I would like to read at least 5. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I really wanna try to go for the gold this year and like read most of the ones I'm picking for that 10. Like I really would like to get closer to like 8, but I wanna read at least 5. And then I am picking a list of 6 classic nonfiction works from which I would like to read at least 4. So I am setting an official goal of reading 9 classic works of fiction and nonfiction with a stretch goal of reading closer to like all 16 of these, because these are books I really want to have read, and I would like to spend the time with them this year. In addition to that, I am also working on a reading project of the Lord Peter Wimsey series. So I will also be reading a bunch of classic mysteries, so books written before 1950 as a result of that. So that's the high level plan. Let's talk about the specific books that are on these TBRs. Okay, so first let's talk about the 5 books from the 2020 TBR that are rolling onto the 2021 TBR. So in no particular order, first I have The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe. This is a classic of the Gothic romantic tradition. Like there's a lot of books that sort of take their DNA from this book, including Northanger Abbey from Jane Austen. So this is one of those books I want to have read. I thought when I first got this, it was gonna be like, a slight novel of 200 pages. It is a little bit of a chunky big boy, but this is, like I said, one I would really like to have read. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna enjoy it itself, but we'll see. Then I think for the 3rd year in a row, we're rolling over Far from the Madding Crowd. No, I think maybe I had The Mayor of Casterbridge on the first year, but I still have not yet read a Thomas Hardy as an adult. I read Tess of the D'Urbervilles as a teen and did not care for it. I would like to give Thomas Hardy a try as an adult and see how I fare with him, so I can figure out if I am interested in reading anything else. else. So this is rolling forward once again. Then we have got 2 Brontes. So we've got Shirley from Charlotte Bronte, and we've got The Tenant of Wildfell Hall from Anne Bronte. And definitely, if I was gonna pick between these, the Anne Bronte is a priority for me. Both of these have been on for 3 years and I just keep not doing them. Some of it is that I resist the idea of finishing off the Bronte oeuvre because that will just be such a sad time, but I would definitely at least like to get to The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Shirley is another one that I might be more okay with letting roll another year. We'll see. And then the last one that we're rolling forward is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and this is the last full Jane Austen work left for me to read. And again, kind of like the Brontes, I'm a little reluctant to read this because I don't want to be done. So while I obviously love Jane Austen, I probably wouldn't be too mad if this ended up being one of the ones I didn't get to this year, just so that I still have an Austen left that I haven't read. So then in terms of the other 5, well, the first one is sort of a roll forward, but I knew there was a good chance I wasn't going to get to Barchester Towers in 2020, but I am definitely committed to getting to it this year because I am planning to go the distance with the Barsetshire series from Anthony Trollope. I really enjoyed The Warden, and I've heard that this one is like way better, so I'm actually very excited to get to this. So this is one I'm very into getting to this year. Next, a genre classic that I've never read, and sort of like a young, let's call this like young adult fantasy classic, T.H. White's The Once and Future King. I have never read this book and I've always been curious about it. So I remember I had several friends in high school who really loved this and like read all of it, and it was a big thing. So yeah, I feel like this is a gap in my kind of understanding of the history of fantasy. So this one is a genre classic I would like to get to. Then I would like to read another Daphne du Maurier book, and I'm going to be reading Jamaica Inn as my next one. I really enjoyed Rebecca, but I think my enjoyment of it was somewhat tarnished by the fact that I had seen the Hitchcock movie prior to reading the book. And so I would like to go into one of her novels just like fresh with no preconceived notions about what it's gonna be like. So this is gonna be my attempt to do that with her. And then 2 modern classics I wanted to put on, because I'm trying to get better about having some more modern classics in the mix. First, The Magic Toy Shop from Angela Carter, because I absolutely love what I have read from Angela Carter, and I would like to read something else from her. So this is one on my TBR, so it's the one I'm picking. And also, it's one of the most beautiful books I own. I love looking at this thing. And finally, for my 10 fiction classics, the last modern classic I'm putting on is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I really, really want to read this. I keep not doing it, so I'm hoping that by putting it on this list, I might prioritize it because I really want to have read this. So those are my 2 modern classic picks. There we go. Modern classic picks that I thought I would add into this top 10. So those are my fiction classic TBR for 2020. And again, there's 10 of them. My official goal is to read 5. I would love it if I could get to 7 or 8. So we'll see how that goes. But I also have a goal of reading some classic nonfiction. So I've been adding a single nonfiction title to my classics TBR for the last couple of years, but I really value classic nonfiction. It's actually some of my favorite like older writings to read. And so I want to be more purposeful about incorporating that into my reading throughout the year. And these are also books that I really want to have read. So in that sense, I also just want to make them a little bit more of a priority. So I am picking 6 with the hope that I get through at least 4. You will see that some of this, the reason it's not that ambitious, because one of those books is Essays in Understanding by Hannah Arendt, which I have read almost all of, but I still have a few essays left in. So I am making it a priority to actually finish this collection off, which I very much enjoy, and I want to just go ahead and finish this off. So that is one, and then the second one from her is the sequel, and it is called Thinking Without a Banister, Essays in Understanding. Basically, this is, sorry, my battery died, so I'm not totally sure where it cut me off, but I think I was in the middle of talking about the fact that I'm almost done with this one, and this is the collected essays of hers from 1930 to 1954, and then this is the second edition of her essays, which is 1953 to 1975. So I want to just go ahead and get this one done because I'm so close. And then I am hoping that then I will launch into a new collection of hers, especially since I've recently really gotten in my groove in terms of incorporating this kind of nonfiction into my nighttime reading routine. I'm thinking, you know, this This is doable. Then maybe let me tell you about the 2 books I don't have in physical form, at least as of yet. First, I would like to read The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. That is something I have been meaning to read for several years, and I just keep not making a priority. So guess what? This year we're making it a priority. It is not very long, so I don't think it will be hard to get through that. That one plus the one I'm almost done with is the reason I went with 4 out of 6, because I was like, I think that's doable. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, a classic essay that I would very, very much like to have read. That one is one that I don't have in physical form, but I have it as an ebook. And then I am waiting for the publication of a beautiful edition of The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois to be published by Penguin. So I will read that edition. And when I tell you, oh, it's a beautiful copy. And I absolutely adored Black Reconstruction in America in 2020, and I must keep reading from him because I loved his writing. So that is an enthusiastic, very much would like to read that one. And it's, I think, a collection of essays, which if you are seeing a theme here, I do love me some essays. I guess continuing on that theme, this is the one that I think I will put for last in the year, because this very well may, transition into 2022. But I have this big, chunky, big boy collected essays of George Orwell, and I really like what I have read from George Orwell in terms of his nonfiction, and I would like to have read a lot more of his nonfiction. So this is the one that I think I'll put off to the end of the year and may start but not finish. But I did want to at least put it on the list as something kind of imminently on my radar as something I want to get started with. This is like 1,500 pages, 1,400 pages. So it's a lot. This will be a project. And then last but not least, I would also like to read Fear and Trembling from Soren Kierkegaard. So Kierkegaard is someone who I've read a lot of excerpts from, but I've never read a whole work from him. And I would very much like to do that. It's not that long. And yeah, I think that this is definitely very achievable. And I'm hoping based on this, I will then get momentum to start on the Essential Kierkegaard Reader. But this is not officially on my TBR, more just in theory, something I would like to do. So this is the last of my official nonfiction classics TBR. So those are 16 books. I am officially hoping to read 9 of them. I am unofficially hoping to read, I'm gonna say probably 13 of them. We'll see how it goes. I thought I knew what I was getting into in 2020, and that turned out to be a big fat joke. So we don't know where the year will take us, but as things sit right now, that is kind of what I'm thinking. So definitely let me know what you thought of any of the books that I talked about, any classics reading you are planning on doing in 2021. And yeah, I think that will do it for me for now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!